Now we'll talk about Failback. Again, Failback's one of those things that's always really complicated. If any of you have ever had to do it, where you failed over to a cloud and then came back, getting that data back can be cumbersome. And we have, I like to call it a 1, 2, 3 click method to be able to get that copy, that most recent copy, to your on-prem appliance. So again, we're going to log into our cloud dashboard. What's different this time is because we're migrating data from the cloud to on-prem, is first we're going to start out, we're going to say manage DR sites and appliances, and we're going to go to the cloud side. And then afterwards, we'll go to the local side to show that the data has been moved back and talk about some of the things you can do with the data once you get it there. So we come over here, we go to boot, we go to our active tab. We can see that I've already shut down the 2 Windows machines down there at the bottom we were using for testing. We don't need to replicate their data back. But we do want to move back this web server. So we're going to come in here. The first step to moving the data is going to be shutting down that virtual machine. We can shut it down via just powering it off, which is like the graceful way of shutting down. We can also pull the plug, which would be the aggressive way of just turning it off instantly. Since we want the data intact, we'll shut it down gracefully. We can also log into the machine and shut it down via the operating system. So we can do a graceful shutdown that way. Now, once it's shut down, we can either right-click and say we want to create a backup job, or we've got a button up there that now becomes active where we can say create backup job. This is going to back up just the blocks that changed while it was running on top of the appliance. So we can see it's already done. Did not edit that for speed. That was real time. That top backup job is now the job that we want to send on-prem. So that's that most recent recovery point of that server. We tell it we want to push it to on-prem, and it's going to replicate it back. Again, this is unedited. This is real time sending it back. It's using that deduplicated replication assistance to be able to push that back. Again, only the changed blocks since it was running in the cloud. Now, since we just had this running in the cloud for about 5–10 minutes, there's not really a lot of data out there. It's going to take a couple minutes to push it back on-prem. How long this takes is going to depend on how much unique data was created while it was running in the cloud.
But it can do a full restore. Like, what if my entire data center blew up and I have brand new equipment and I need to restore?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah, it would absolutely send it back. Oh, sorry, we jumped on.
Ask questions.
Now we're going to the on-prem one, now that our replication is done. And now we can see that our top backup job, which has a little check mark there, is the one that we just had from the cloud. So we could do any type of restore that we would want to, files, full machine back to the environment. Here we can see if we go look at that server, we now have 15 recovery points. So I could right-click and just boot from that most recent cloud copy, do a restore back to my VMware environment, mount the VMDK, restore individual files. It's completely up to you once you've got the data here, what you want to do with that data.
What's your performance to do that? I mean, I know it varies. It's a hard question because it depends on the workload you want to do all those activities. But it seems to be you're asking a lot. And so
I would say shockingly fast. Coming from a previous vendor where I was for 18 years, the way that we handle the block level stuff and the deduping and the replication is insanely quick. When I first started, I thought I was getting, haze. They gave me a box and they were like, go home and set this up. I'm like, all right. So I go home and I take our little toaster size appliance, I hook it up to my environment, which is roughly 5 terabytes. I had physical virtual machines backing up within an hour with no instruction, turned on cloud replication, and within a day I could start booting some machines in the cloud. Now over my cable modem, which is 25 megabits, limited upload, it took about a week to do 5 terabytes of replication for that initial seeding. Now whenever I run backups on that 5 terabytes, it typically takes about 10 to 15 minutes to sync up the changes.
Okay, and I'm assuming you're a hybrid, right? Are they all flash or they're mixed?
They're mixed.
Mixed, okay.
There's a mix of, they are custom built for us, but they have SSDs for caching, they have a DOM they boot from, they have RAID that they store the long-term data on.
Okay, how are you guys licensed? How do you guys, size an opportunity and how do you price it?
Do we want to jump into that? So it's per protected terabyte, so the front end size of the data that we're protecting.
All right, but you don't count the number of VMs and...
Doesn't matter if it's one server that's 100 gigs or one server that's a terabyte or 10 servers that's 100 gigs, it's the same amount of space we're protecting.
Sure, all right.